Thank you everybody for joining us. We just wanted to touch base to go over the upcoming assessment correction window that should be in mid-June. We'll be opening that window. We know everybody's out there wrapping up their school semesters and seasons, and we know you're busy, but we just wanted to get this on your radar. Of course, just like all the other these will be recorded and posted to our website, so you'll be able to view them as needed. Just a couple little housekeeping tips that I wanted to say is, again, this is recorded and will be published on our website. I'll try to have it up there by mid next week. Also, we will be hosting our monthly webinars, and the topics will be based on the surveys that we sent out last month and your feedback, which was an amazing pourback of some things that we felt that were probably important for you guys to hear, but just wanted to hear that you guys will be interested in those topics. So we'll be hitting on those each month. Okay, so let's just go. This is assessment correction window, which is every year is provided to you guys as an opportunity to review the data that was provided from the vendors after spring testing. So the purpose of that is for districts to view it. It's preliminary data that is sent to us. Once we get that data, it goes through our process of cleaning and organizing, and we audit it and filter it, and then we put it out on single sign-on, which is our warehouse, and then from there you're able to review it and then submit DVRs where appropriate. So the assessment correction window timeline is we're looking to an anticipation date of June. So probably mid-June is when we should be opening that window. The closer we get to the opening, I'll start sending out gov deliveries and information your way to let you know that it'll be opening and how long. We are required to have it open for 15 days for your guys' review. And during that 15 days, you can submit DVR requests. And those DVR requests, because sometimes we do get quite a bit of them, if that 15-day window closes and you still have not seen a DVR that you submitted and it hasn't been resolved yet, don't worry and don't panic. It will get resolved. It just might be taking us a little bit of time after that window to catch up and get all of them closed. So how do you assess the assessment data? You will go to the report. You will go to the report. It's located in single sign-on. You'll click on your school, and then you'll click on the little tab that says school data. Once you're in there, you'll see student assessment, and it's underneath the school calendar. And so you'll click on student assessments, and that will provide all of your assessments, except for your ELPA assessments, which is your access and your access alt. Those you would get under here where it says student assessment ELP. So where does this data come from? So after testing is completed at your district level, those tests are reviewed and a raw file is sent to the Office of Accountability, where we are provided the student data from multiple of the vendors, and then we put it through our rigorous pre-auditing stages where it goes through and it's tested to make sure STNs are there. We try to make sure we're getting all the duplicates and that the grades match the test grade. So OSTP and OAP is for your 3rd through 8th grade. Those are the ones we'll be looking at. And we also look at your WIDA access tests, and then SAT, ACT as well. And then, of course, I just wanted to mention there that high school science, that test was an operational test, but individual scores have not been determined yet, so they haven't gone through standard setting, and so you won't see that yet. The reason that it's important that we make sure we're combing over this data and that it's as accurate and correct as possible is because we use that data when we're doing our report card calculations. And so that data is used in your academic growth indicator, which measures, students' individual growth, and then your academic achievement indicator. And so that's looking at a 3rd grade match from previous year to the next year to see how improvement and how they're performing. Okay. So how to review this data. There's some things you should be looking at when you're reviewing the data. So the Office of Accountability conducts reviews and audits of the data for inconsistencies, invalid values, unexpected data, etc. So upon review, your district has students or assessment records that were identified during one of those reviews or audits. You'll receive an email saying that we've done this audit and these are the STNs that we found that were affected by that audit, depending on what set of data we're looking at and what exactly is we're testing for. So if we were looking for invalid values, if we found students that had invalid test scores or something that didn't belong there, you would get that email from us. So some things you should be looking for when you're testing your data is for any missing students, students who left prior to the assessment window, and those students need to be marked NLE. And then recently arrived English learners to make sure they're marked accordingly. And then make sure the student took the correct test and correct grade level. So you want to make sure the grade and the test match. And then we want to review students who are with their NFAY status. Okay. So what is NFAY? We get this question a lot, so we thought we better throw something up here just to go over what NFAY means. So NFAY stands for non-full academic year. It is determined via enrollment records that you certified through your ASR, which is your annual statistical report. So NFAY is calculated by the entry and exit dates that are entered in the ASR report. A student is considered FAY, which is full academic year, for an indicator if he or she enrolls within the first 20 instructional days of the school year and does not have a gap of 10 or more consecutive instructional days of enrollment prior to FAY end date. I put in here also the NFAY status during the assessment correction window, and it is not part of the demographic overlay, so that's why we look at the ASR. So for the assessment for the Access and the Access Alt, January 22nd is your FAY end date for that. For OSTP and OAP, it's April 1st, and for ACT, SAT, it's April 1st as well. So also, of course, this chart is located on our accountability website, but I put it in here as well for easy access. Just letting you know that an NFAY equals 0 would be a student is FAY, so their full academic year. If their NFAY equals 1, it's a student at the school level. This happens when a student is not enrolled within the first 20 instructional days at a site, or they have a gap of 10 or more days at the school level. So for instance, a student may have switched schools but stayed within the district, so they would be an NFAY 1. If they're an NFAY 2, this is at a school and district level. So this happens when the student is not enrolled within the first 20 instructional days, or the student had a gap of the 10 or more days at the school and district level. So an example of that is a student may have transferred to another school in another district. And this student's record will be used in the state accountability calculations. And then there's NFAY 3, which is the student is NFAY at the school, district, and state level. And so this is records that are excluded from school, district, and state accountability. So those would not be in there. So when to submit a DVR? I know it's a lot of data that we toss out there pretty quickly, and it's a lot to go through. So some things you really want to be paying attention to that might help you with this process is looking for any missing students, identifying incorrect NFAY status, and of course you'll want to refer to that chart because that will help you out a ton during this process. Then also looking at the incorrect no score codes that will be located on the assessment correction view. So DNR, the do not report, NLE, which is no longer enrolled, DNA, they did not attempt the test, or INV, which the test was invalidated. DNR, D is do not report duplicate, so you might have two. And then this last one, SPD, is specific to WIDA, so if the student was not able to take a certain domain due to a disability. And some other little things that we've ran across in the previous years of doing these. So a student who took the CCRA, a student will not get a composite score if a student did not complete both sections of the ELA test portion, so the reading and writing. This would end up as a DNA, a did not attempt, and this situation would not require a DVR. A student has an OAP record with valid score, but is also showing an OSTP with a DNA. So a solution to that is for accountability purposes. So on our end, we will only include the records that have a valid score. The record with the DNA will be updated to a DNRD, so it'll drop off. And so you guys on your end, when you're reviewing it, will not have to submit a DVR for this. So we'll be catching them on our end. Okay. If a student has a blank NFAY status whenever you're looking at the assessment window, NFAY is calculated by using school calendar and student enrollment that we pull from the ASR. So if you're seeing a blank there, it's either the entry or exit date is not an instructional day in the school calendar, so the student enrollment would need to be adjusted, or the entry or exit date is not in the school calendar and you would need to adjust your school calendar. So some troubleshooting also that we just wanted to mention about Rail. A student is not showing up as a recently arrived English learner. So there's a couple things to look there. You want to check your entry code and your EL flag. So a student is marked Rail if they are marked EL. And then their entry code should either be 1838, 1839, or 1840. And you can see those codes and that information about Rail in the WAVE document. It breaks down those codes and what those stand for. We have plenty of resources that can help assist you whenever this window does open. Our website, the accountability website, which you can go to the State Department of Education's website and then click on our specific page. And all of our resources will be there along with this webinar and the presentation. We also included the recently arrived English learner FAQs, the data verification how-tos, because it will walk you step by step on how to submit the DVR. And then, of course, the assessment correction guide, which breaks it down by test on kind of these little tidbits of what to be looking for. And, of course, another resource is us. You're always welcome to call or email us, and we will get back with you and help you walk you through any process you need. And so here is our office contact information, email, and I appreciate you taking your time to listen. Thank you.